it has been, by Premier League standards, a very, very exciting weekend, and also rather sad in that two of the respected coaches in the Premier League were sacked. Brendan Rodgers was sacked by Leicester, and Graham Potter was sacked by Chelsea. They are people you'd have respect for, both with very good records, but not winning games at the moment. And we're joined now by John Giles and Liam Brady to talk about the weekend's football, because it is very intriguing now. Top four is up for grabs. Relegation, of course, everyone is dreading it. And the big fight at the top really looks like it's between Arsenal and Manchester City. And that, of course, is very, very important indeed. John, let's talk first about Manchester City, Liverpool. We can come back to the coaches. Liverpool got a good start and Mo Salah got a very good goal. But I must say, City's response, I thought, was magnificent. I thought Grealish and Alvarez, without Haaland, who wasn't fit to play, I thought City really, really looked like champions in their comeback and in the way that they demolished Liverpool in the end. I invited you on to tell me what you think, which is far more important. Tell me what you thought.
Well, I thought City were very, very good, Eamon. But I'd have to say that Liverpool made it easy for them.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
at the back,
they were,
yeah.
Liverpool, after getting the goal early on, were terrible. And, you know, all over the pitch, they were terrible.
Yeah.
In fact, you know, I think Klopp said afterwards, only 4 performances were okay.
Yeah.
And he said the midfielders, Henderson and Fabinho, worked hard, and Gakpo and Alisson.
Yes.
And that's a harsh, well, it's a very, very important statement from a manager of his experience, Eamon, to
yes.
be picking out 4 players from a team or whatever, 11 or 12 or 13 players that were in it.
Yeah.
It's difficult. Well, it's impossible to know what's happening at Liverpool. It's absolutely impossible, Eamon.
Yes.
But, City took advantage of it, played well, Grealish played well. They won well in the end, Eamon, but I'm not a Liverpool supporter, but I'd be worried about them if I was a Liverpool supporter, Eamon.
Yeah, and Liam, the title race now is between Arsenal and Manchester City. I think we can say that pretty much for sure. And I've always hoped that Arsenal would hang on and they'd win it, because Arteta's done a good job there. But I must say, watching City take Liverpool apart changed my mind. I think they've got so much quality. This fella Alvarez, who was in the Argentinian World Cup team, they bought him for 14 million. He scored on Saturday, he made a goal, and he looked like a seriously good player, as did Jack Grealish, who's somebody I've always thought was overpriced, 100 million, you must be joking, all that stuff. I changed my mind in a big way watching him on Saturday.
Yeah, they were brilliant, Eamon, you know, and there's quite a few others who were up there with those two as well, you know.
Yes.
I thought De Bruyne was very good as well.
John Stones.
Yeah, Stones, you know, was playing probably right back, coming inside as Guardiola likes his fullbacks to do. No, excellent. It just shows you their strength and depth. To be without Haaland and Foden, who had a appendix operation. Yeah. It just shows you, you know, what a good team they are, a great squad they are. Alvarez, we know in the World Cup was it took the eye when he got his place in the Argentinian team, and he came in and it looked a seamless, you know, performance. I would have to agree with John that you know, Liverpool are a shadow of the team they were last season. I don't know what's gone wrong. Looking at what they've spent, Damon, they've only spent like 50 million this year, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on there behind the scenes. I think they're trying to sell the club. They have obviously got Klopp and his staff fixed up on long-term contracts, but they haven't addressed the team, you know, and Klopp hasn't really addressed the team and addressed the failures that we've been witnessing this season. But Manchester City outstanding, but I thought Arsenal were outstanding as well, Eamon. And I thought Newcastle yesterday were outstanding. I know we're going to come on to them.
Yes.
But staying with, City frightened me because they could win all their games with the players they've got if their attitude is correct and they don't become complacent in some way. I think City have dropped points down, over the course of the season, down to complacency, down to being maybe a little bit overconfident that they were going to win.
Yep.
So being supporting Arsenal this season, you're hoping that complacency might rear its head again. But if it doesn't, they're quite capable of going on and winning every game.
Yeah, John, I've never been a huge sort of fan or admirer of Guardiola. It's just a prejudice, really. But he does improve players. He has transformed Jack Grealish over a period of time. He didn't start the season in the team. I think we all thought Phil Foden should be in that position maybe. But anyway, he's been in the team now for 6 weeks only, 7 weeks. But his performance on Saturday, his work ethic, he made a goal, scored a goal. I thought he looked like a player who was nearly worth 100 million. And as Liam was saying, they're impressive in the way, and were impressive in the way they went about the business. They were clinical, took their time, but when they moved as a unit.
And they're very good, Eamon, very, very good players. I still have a fancy for Arsenal, Eamon.
Yeah, I know, and I hope, maybe it's hope. You see, I think the problem is experience, isn't it, and depth. The depth.
Yeah, but they're doing. We're well into the season now, and they've won matches well. They've been behind and come. Like, so far so good. They've done all the things that's needed to be done. Jesus is back into the team again.
Yes.
Like City's performances up to Saturday haven't been as good as they might be.
Correct.
And again, I think Liverpool gave them an easy touch.
Yep.
So, I wouldn't be going for them as strongly as I could do. Let's put it that way. I think it's going to be touch and go. I know nobody's writing off Arsenal, but I think Arsenal have played like champions up to this particular time. And they haven't been interested in what City are doing or anybody else is doing. I like the way they've been going about their job. They've been behind a couple of matches. They kept their head and kept playing and playing and playing. I think it's going to be very, 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 obviously very, very, very close.
Yeah,
very
Liam,
close.
Just on Arsenal's sort of what they're facing, they've got to play Liverpool and they've got to play Man City. And as far as I know, the Man City game is in Manchester. They have to play Liverpool. Now that on Saturday's performance, that's not so daunting, but Liverpool are a very experienced and dangerous team. And Arsenal beat Leeds 4-1 at the weekend. Saka was rested, I take it. He came on in the end, and I think he scored. But Jesus is back.
No, he made one of the goals.
That's right.
Yeah, he had a part in one of the goals when he came on.
Yeah.
Jesus got two. Won the first one, a penalty. White got another goal. It's great to see the amount of players Arsenal are getting in the box, Eamon, when there's crosses coming in.
Yes.
There's 7 and 8 around the box. Xhaka scored another goal. Odegaard, lovely ball in, good header. Everybody's playing well, and John is correct. They're going to push City all the way, I think.
Yeah.
And they have an 8-point lead at the moment. It could be reduced to 5 with Man City's game in hand, and then Arsenal have got to go to Man City, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Liverpool, you'd want to be playing them now, wouldn't you? You saw Real Madrid actually take them apart. Apart from the 7-0 against Manchester United, Liverpool have been awful the last couple of months. So,
yes, they have.
It might be a good time for Arsenal to play them next Sunday. They play them Easter Sunday, so I think, like John, it's going to be really close. I just hope, City have got the FA Cup, they've got the European Cup, they've got the league, got an awful lot of games, and that can tell. It can tell in the end. Where Arsenal are out of Europe, they're out of the Cup, they can rest their players. I think Arsenal will give them a real run for the money.
Well, that's for sure, and they have done, and I think everyone who likes an underdog and actually respects the job that Mikel Arteta's done there will be hoping. John, Newcastle, Manchester United, a very comprehensive win by Newcastle. United were bloody awful. They held a players' meeting in the dressing room afterwards. Where do we go from here? And Luke Shaw came out afterwards and said they were sickened by the way they'd played and all of that. And they were very poor, weren't they?
Yeah, Newcastle were very good.
They were, yes. Yeah.
I just saw Ten Hag made a statement before the match which came back on him. He said he warned Saudi-owned Newcastle their petrodollars wouldn't guarantee them breaking into the top four.
I didn't know that, did he?
He said that, yeah. Money is one thing, but another is strategy.
Yeah.
Well, Newcastle had the money and they had the strategy on the day. Amen. They killed them.
They killed them
on the day. They were into everything. They did everything well. I thought they were very, very good. I didn't expect them to be as good as they were. And the thing was, as well, from Newcastle's point of view, regarding their squad, that Callum Wilson came on as a sub and scored.
Yeah.
Joe Linton came on as a sub. And the lad from Everton, Gordon, came on as a sub.
Yeah.
3 really, really top-class players, Eamon. So the squad is good. And, they can only get better and better. So Man U have a lot to learn from Newcastle at the weekend.
Yes.
Man U were terrible, Eamon. They weren't in the game at all. Very, very disappointing for a team that wants to be doing a lot better than they're doing.
Liam, John rang me after about 12 minutes of the game. And he told me to back Newcastle. So he
I would have told you before the game.
Well done,
Liam. No, Manchester United, we've been going on about them for a while. They're not very good, Eamon.
They're not. No,
they've been getting away with a lot of results. They've won games when they didn't deserve to win. Even when they won the League Cup or the Carabao Cup, everybody was saying, what a turning point. But I've watched them after that, and they're a poor team. McTominay and Sabitzer in midfield.
Yes.
Now, what do they do?
Yeah.
McTominay's an honest lad. Sabitzer, I don't know where we got him from. I think Ten Hag, they're making him, they've come out and said he's the chosen one in the last few months,
Yeah.
And the players he's brought into the team, Anthony, is he any good, Anthony?
No, he's hopeless. It cost 80 million, 88 million.
Weghorst is getting his game every week.
Yep, yep.
What he has done is turned around a bit with Marcus Rashford, but he was back to his bad self yesterday.
Yes, yeah.
As John says, Newcastle killed them.
They did, and that was a critical game in the race for the top 4. Newcastle are ahead of Manchester United now. And they both played the same games and they have the same points, but Newcastle have better goal difference.
Well, it's going to be between Spurs, Man United and Newcastle, I think, Eamon. Liverpool have dropped right out of it. Chelsea have been going for a while. So it's 2 from those 3, and that's going to be interesting as well.
Well, I'm going to ask you about your own club, your hometown club now, Brighton, because they have a chance, Liam. I don't want to heap pressure on them, but they have 2 games in hand of Tottenham. Now, they are 6 points behind, and they have a game in hand of United, 6 points behind. But the Brighton story is a fascinating story. They drew with Brentford 3-3, both clubs who've had really great seasons in the top half of the table, and it's not inconceivable that either of them could. They'd need a lot to go their way, but that they're challenging for Europe, and that say Chelsea aren't. They're a long way ahead. It's extraordinary when you think of the resources. And I read something at the weekend, Liam, about the number of Irish young lads who are in the academy of Brighton, and also about the part you played in saving that club when they were under pressure and when it looked like, the game was up. Have they got, we know, of course, about Evan Ferguson, but they have other Irish young fellas as well.
Yeah, there was a lad called John Morling here. I actually think he's with the FAI, if I'm not mistaken now.
Yeah.
And he was head of recruitment. And he'd come from the FAI, from the youth section in the Football Association of Ireland, and I think he knew a lot of the Irish players. And I think yeah, that's one of the reasons why there's so many kids on the staff there now, and Ferguson is being the best of them. Let's hope there's more to come. It's a great story for both clubs. Like Brentford, normally were a third division club going back in the day.
Yeah, I know. I played there.
Third division, and Brighton just about managed to escape extinction. Whereas this is a great story. But to go back to the chances of the Champions League, I just think they'd fall a bit short from that compared to the other teams. I hope I'm wrong, but I'd love to see Brighton do something like that. Like, it's remarkable. And they're in the semi-final of the FA Cup as well.
Yes.
Two great football stories, in contrast to somebody like Chelsea, who spent £500 million before the season kicked off, or just as about the season that it kicked off, and they're lying 11th in the league.
And they couldn't field a team. I watched the match against Villa, and we might come to that. John, your own club, Leeds, were beaten by Arsenal. No shame in that. But now they are just goal difference between them and Everton, who are playing tonight, and they're only a point in front of Leicester. They're skirting with, or flirting with danger, John.
Oh, yeah. And well, there's a good few teams down there.
There are,
there's about 6 or 7 teams that are capable of going down, or could go down. I saw the highlights, Eamon, only.
Yes.
And they make chances. And I think that I have a feeling they'll get out of it in relation to the other teams. They don't defend very well, but they do have a go in attacking when they possibly can. And Liam was at the Arsenal match, I think. But I think they had a few chances in the game. Is that right, Liam?
Yeah. They created 2 or 3. You're dead right, John. Good goal. They give silly goals away. Like Luke Ayling's foul on Jesus for the penalty was stupid. Stupid. And you can't go 1 and 2 behind against a team like Arsenal now. So I suppose they've written that off there. It's the old cliche. It's going to be 6 points. 6 point games. The defense is not very good. So it's going to be touch and go. But they're either 1 of 6 or 1 of 7. I think Crystal Palace, in changing the manager, we all felt a bit sorry for Patrick Vieira, but old Roy Hodgson's come in there and got them off to a flying start. And those 3 points could be so precious at the end of the season. Yeah, well,
just to underline the volatility, West Ham were second from bottom yesterday morning. They won 1-0, and now they're 7th from bottom. So it can turn very quickly, but there's something on every game. I just want to ask you both about what happened to Graham Potter in particular. I watched Aston Villa and Chelsea. Chelsea, after the $600 million they spent since this fella Ted Booley, an American billionaire, bought the club, they spent $600 million altogether. Really, before Graham Potter came in, most of it's $300 million in the summer, and then they're throwing players at him, but he still couldn't field the team. He's supposed to have 27, 28 pros. John, we were talking about this at the weekend. If you go into a job like that from where he was and where he'd done a great job at Brighton, you don't know who's who and what's what. If you go 27, 28 players, you can't even have a training session, can you?
No, it's impossible, Eamon. You haven't had a chance. And the first thing, the amount of players that they bought, a huge amount of players. He's got 28 pros, probably top class pros. But he didn't buy them. No way did he buy them. No. So what the owner's done there, he's bought these players and said, and if you look at the giveaway there, he's head coach, Eamon. He's head coach. He's not manager. That's his.
Oh yeah.
That's his. You know what I mean?
Well, that's a new thing now. Yeah.
That's a biggie, head coach. Well, head coach is somebody that the owners buy the players, give them to the coach and say, right, you're the coach now, you get on with those players that we bought.
Yep.
That's the fact. Now, the thing is, in my take, man, I might have said before in your program, Amy, every manager that I've known or think I've known goes into a job has a vision of what they want to do on the pitch.
Yes.
And to fulfill that vision, if that's the right word,
it is, yeah.
you have to be getting the players that you want.
Yep.
In other words, I want Joe Bloggs. He's a midfield player. That's the way I want him to play. That's the way I want that. That's what all the great managers have done. And they get that vision on the pitch, their vision of what's required. Now, if you get a situation that Potter is in, he's not buying those players.
No.
So he's no vision in it. The vision that he's getting is the owner's vision.
Yes.
Who knows nothing about football.
Yep. And that's the end of it. I mean, this guy, he sacked Thomas Tuchel, who had taken Chelsea to and won the Champions League, in fact, with them. And they're said to be now chasing Julian Nagelsmann, who is a very good young German coach who's just been sacked by Bayern Munich. Thomas Tuchel has gone and joined Bayern Munich. Graham Potter's out of work. And I watched the team. He's been unlucky as well. Kante has been injured all season. Thiago Silva didn't play on Saturday. Rudiger walked on a free transfer. Mason Mount is a sub. He's out of contract at the end of next year. He's on 80 grand a week, Liam, and Mason Mount is one of the best English players in England. So the club is a basket case, and this fella looks to be just flailing around and, doing as much damage as you possibly could do.
Well, I think John's described it very well. Graham Potter was the coach, and he had to deal with all the players that Ted Bolly had brought in, and Ted Bolly's come from American business, and he probably knows very little about football. I think he was director of football when he went there, interim director of football. Yeah. So he obviously has this ego of a billionaire that's coming in and he wants to call the shots, But it doesn't work. No. It doesn't work. The head coach or manager has got to have a say in who he wants to come in. And as John said, he's got to have a vision of how he wants to go about things and get players to fit the jigsaw puzzle, But he has had so many players to deal with. Absolutely right what you say. I mean, how can he have a proper training session, Yeah, I saw Kante came back. Kante came back, and Potter could have done with someone like him. But some of the players they bought have been so disappointing. This Argentinian, is it Enzo Fernandez? He's been missing. I don't know what's wrong with him.
Yeah,
they've always have a problem with the strikers. They can't score enough goals. I watched the highlights against Villa, and they made enough chances to score. Mudryk, the Ukrainian.
Oh, yeah. What a miss.
Clean on goal twice, Eamon.
Yeah, I know.
And hit the goalkeeper. So that didn't help Graham Potter. But Potter was, leaving a few players out that you were scratching your head. The fans had turned against him. And it was inevitable. It's like big business. These guys, like Chelsea, every chance of not getting into Europe next year. They won't be in anything.
Well, they won't be in Europe unless, I can't. They're still in the Champions League.
We've got to play Real Madrid, haven't they?
Yep, they've got to play Real Madrid.
They won't be in it very long.
No, they won't.
Unless somebody comes in there and waves a magic wand.
Yep. So they're out of commission.
But let's not forget about it. Let's not forget Tottenham have no manager. Leicester have no manager.
Yep.
It's crazy what's going on. It's all to do with money and business and egos of these owners.
Yeah, and fear in some cases and pressure that I just think, John, both of you have managed, John. Graham Potter now, 6 months ago, he was highly respected for the work he'd done at Brighton. He didn't have any big checkbook, but he created a team that played really good football. He developed young players. I was delighted. I think we all three of us were when he got the Chelsea job. That's the kind of guy you want in your club. It's a great shame that he encountered this sort of mess.
Well, yeah, he might have known a bit, Eamon, when he was again officially head coach. You know, that tells your story.
Yeah.
But I think he would have been on big money, Eamon.
Yes.
Going to Chelsea.
Yes.
And I'd say in the time that he was there, I'd say he was guaranteed with the sack at least 5 million.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I know it's not, I know money shouldn't come into it, but it obviously does come in. I mean, he wouldn't be on near that type of money at Brighton.
No, of course. It has been, it would be beneficial to him financially, but he looks like he's a calm, well-behaved, intelligent football man. This would be a heartbreak for him. It's a bad first encounter with the Premier League for a coach like that. But he's young; he'll get over it. The other guy,
I think he will, Eamon. But it would be tempting. I mean, if he's at Brighton, then you put yourself in that position. Put anyone in that position, and he wouldn't be on. He wouldn't. I don't think he'd be on big money there at all.
No,
doing a terrific job. So the guys from Chelsea come in, and he'd be on a minimum 5 million. I'd say he's getting 5 million for the few months he's been there. It has, unfortunately, money creates that type of situation, Eamon. I think he will get a job somewhere. I think he could go to Leicester.
And let's just talk, Liam, about Brendan Rodgers. Brendan Rodgers has been a very respected coach in the game for quite a long time now. He was at Liverpool at one stage. He's always done a good job. He looked like he was doing a job at Leicester, but it's fallen apart this season. The players don't look like they're doing it for him, actually. But it is said that he didn't resign because he wanted to be sacked because he was guaranteed 10 million if that happened. It's still a surprising sort of fall for Leicester, isn't it? Second from the bottom now, Liam. And a coach who they might have hoped would restore them to the top half of the table, gone.
Well, I think the strategy changed when their owner passed away in that terrible helicopter crash, Eamon.
Yes.
I think the family then took over the reins, and it doesn't seem to me as if they have the same, how can I say,
commitment.
Interest in and commitment into putting money into the club. And even from the start of the season, Brendan was having a moan about, the fact that he couldn't compete because they weren't active in the transfer market. Yeah. And I think that's shown. But the warning signs were out there very early on in the season. Brendan was talking about this. He was quite open about it. And I think it was mentioned that he was talking like he wanted the sack. And then it picked up a bit, and maybe a month or 2 months ago, where they start getting a few results that they looked like they were playing a bit better. But all of a sudden it's gone wrong again, and it was inevitable it was going to happen. Everybody, all those teams, and Palace have changed their manager, Leicester have changed their manager, Southampton have changed their manager, Leeds have changed their manager, Bournemouth have changed. Everybody's so scared of going down. This is what happens, Eamon.
Yeah.
But Leicester haven't invested as much in players as they used to. They used to have a very good scouting system where they go and get young players like Mahrez and Kante. That was the strategy at the club at the time when they had the Thai owner from King Power. But I don't think the family are as committed as he was, and Brendan's paid the price. But so many managers there from the bottom down, You go from Chelsea changed the manager, Palace changed the manager, Wolves changed the manager, Forest haven't, Bournemouth have, Leeds have, Everton have, Leicester have, West Ham haven't, and Southampton have.
The stat is, Liam,
eight managers from those 10 tems have gone.
12
and this is
20.
This is the Premier League. I'm not even looking at the top. There's more up the top, so...
12 of the 20 coaches who started the season have been sacked.
That says it all, doesn't it? It's business remarkable. Now. It's big business. You either got to be in the Champions League, or you got to be in Europe. You got to be out of relegation trouble, or else you're going to get the sack. I think they know that. I think Potter was on a lot more money than John. mentioned there. I think he was on something like nearly 12 million a year, John. So he had to take that job, didn't he? Coming from Brighton.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. He was on 12 million a year. So it's going to be a managerial merry-go-round in the next week or two. There'll be Brendan Rodgers might get a job at Chelsea. You don't know. It's crazy stuff.
Okay, just a final word from John. There's a match tonight that sums it up in a way. It's the Monday night match tonight is Everton at home to Spurs. And this is what makes the Premier League so enthralling. Spurs are fighting for a top 4 place. Everton are fighting relegation. So there's hardly a match these days that doesn't have a high tariff on it in one form or another. Qualifying for Europe, avoiding relegation, and that will be a very interesting match tonight. I won't ask you to give me the winner, John, as you normally do. I'll let you.
I wouldn't have a clue, Eamon. Okay. To be on the Spurs going in with no manager. You're right.
Yeah.
It's unfortunately it's about money nearly all the time now, Eamon.
Yeah.
Teams want to get into Europe because there's big money in Europe. Teams are scared of going down, totally scared to go down, because that's even worse. It's nearly out of the big time altogether.
Yeah.
So it's not going to get any better either, Eamon.
No, it's not. The more Ted Boolies we get, the worse it'll be. John and Liam, we're very grateful to you, as always, for your wisdom, and in John's case, for predictions. 10 minutes into the Newcastle United game, he said, back Newcastle. So I did, John, and we made some money. Grateful
good
to
for you, Eamon.
John Giles and to Liam Brady.